Hey all, Ren Carothers here with your Future Stars forecast, where we look ahead at horses we may see competing come Future Stars Friday, November 6th at the Breeders' Cup World Championships at Keeneland. So we've got a really salty maiden special weight event coming up this Saturday where the turf meets the surf at Old Del Mar. Goes off as race 3. We have 10 horses entered, and it's just a really nicely bred group. I can't talk about them all or we'd be here much longer than you probably want to just be sitting down. But with that said, I do have a few that I'd like to Pedigeek out on. And we also have some really fun replays to show you of some of the relatives of these youngsters. Because again, that's what we do. We have to fill in the blank spaces with these maiden special weight races and try to project what these babies might do based upon what their family members did in their own race careers. So without further ado, let's get to this. I want to talk first off about the number 2 horse. Name is Petruccio, trained by Richard Mandella. It's going to be ridden by Flavian Pratt. I don't have the morning line yet. It has not been posted, but this is a son of Into Mischief. Into Mischief himself, a grade 1 winner at 2 years old, won the Cash Call Futurity. But in addition to that, and in addition to being a sensational sire, as we all should know by now, he's a half brother to 2 horses who are also grade 1 winners at 2 years old, and one of which is probably going to be known as one of the greatest distaffers we've seen. So first off, one of those horses is Mendelssohn. Mendelssohn won the 2017 Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. He went on to be a really nice horse who was very versatile, not only, again, winning on the turf like that, but he also put in some really game performances on the dirt, including in the Travers Stakes and as the Jockey Club Gold Cup. But the other half sibling is Beholder. And so not only did she win the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, but then she capped her career with this sensational performance against Songbird in the 2016 Breeders' Cup Distaff. Let's take a look back at this edge of your seat nail biter.
And a confrontation of champions as they come toward the top of the stretch. I'm a Chatterbox trying to cling to them. Stellar Wind's got work to do. Songbird and Beholder, and they're into the stretch. And here we go. Songbird set down. Beholder is alongside. Forever Unbridled is 2.5 lengths behind them. Furlong to run. Songbird, Beholder, they are nose to nose. This race living up to its expected power as they come to the wire. They're nose to the park. It's Beholder. I think she got her head down on the wire. Songbird, dug and gangling all the way. The two of them right together. And then came Forever Unbridled. The final time was 1 minute 49.20 seconds. I believe Beholder did it.
Seriously, right? Oh my gosh. I mean, that race goes down, in the ages. That was right up there with Easy Goer and Sunday Silence in the Preakness Stakes. I mean, come on. I mean, just the will to win between these two distaffers. It just shows the heart, the talent, the grit that they both possess. That is what makes champions. And Beholder, again, she's just a horse that really captured the imagination of, I think, all of us. It's just a horse, when you see one so talented, it's just hard not to be inspired by them, right? So again, Into Mischief, with this sire power, it shouldn't be surprising, being a half again to Mendelssohn, being a half to Beholder, and he himself being a grade 1 winner. And that is the sire of this number 2 horse, Petruccio. Now, Petruccio is out of Satirical, who's by Distorted Humor. And Distorted Humor, his scores include the Salvatore Mile, the ACAC, the Commonwealth, the Churchill Downs Handicap. He was very fast. Satirical herself, a full sister to multiple grade 3 winner, multiple grade 1 place Matru. He won the Hanshin Cup, the Bold Ruler Handicap, and he picked up Shodo finishes in the 2015 Cigar Mile, which was won by Tonalist, as well as the 2018 Stephen Foster, and that was won by Pavel. So it's kind of cool to see this horse have such success, spanning quite a long time, from 2015 running into grade 1 and 2018. So again, Satirical, the dam. I also need to mention that she's also out of the same dam and from the Mr. Prospector line, because Distorted Humor's Mr. Prospector line. It's the same sire. So again, with her being from a Mr. Prospector sire line, it makes her more closely related to another horse that her dam dropped in Rule. Rule was a winner at 2 years old. He was a millionaire. He won the Delta Downs jackpot, in addition to the Sam F. Davis Stakes, the John Lafitte, in which he set a new track record, and the Birdstone Stakes. And Rule was also third in the Grade 1 Florida Derby, as well as the Woodward and Dawn. So a very nice racehorse there. And then adding intrigue to the pedigree is the fact that this colt's great-grandmother is a half-sister to champion multimillionaire Funny Side. And Funny Side, I mean, just the fandom that he cultivated in 2003, winning the Kentucky Derby, winning the Preakness. And then, of course, those Triple Crown hopes were dashed in the Belmont Stakes, where he had to settle for third. And as we've heard his story come back to life, because the same connections, Sakatoga Stable, Barclay Tag, they got their Belmont score earlier this year with Tiz the Law, who is their Kentucky Derby hopeful. So it's just really cool to see those connections, have such a nice horse again, and again, to see a horse like Funny Side adding intrigue to a pedigree for the number 2 Petruccio. So moving on, I'm going to talk about Epidemic, aptly named, wouldn't you say, considering everything that's going on. Now, I want you, if you're looking at your past performances, I want you to take a look at the fact that Orb stands for 10,000. This colt sold for 165,000 at OBS March. Now, he's trained by Ryan Hansen, Michelle Yu's husband, and he's going to be ridden by Edwin Maldonado. You can see he's put in some nice works. He's showing that he does have speed. The thing that's really cool about this horse's breeding is, first off, he's a 3/4 brother to millionaire Stanford, who won his debut at 2 years old, sprinting 5 furlongs at Monmouth. And Stanford went on to become a graded stakes winner with scores in the Charlestown Classic and the Harland Holiday. Epidemic is also a half-brother to another Pletcher trainee in Hedge Fund, who notched a 103 buyer, winning the Essex Handicap. And Hedge Fund was actually just defeated ahead in the Grade 3 Illinois Derby, and that was to Multiplier. So he was very close to being a graded stakes winner himself. Now, Sire Orb, you may remember, he won the Kentucky Derby, but prior to that, as a 2-year-old, it took him until his 4th start to get that first winner's circle photo. But at 3 years old, he really picked up steam, showed his class, won the Fountain of Youth, the Florida Derby. And again, that was en route to winning the 2013 Kentucky Derby. Lee Davis, thank you so much. I'm going to flash up that comment. Thank you. I appreciate it. So thank you, the big eraser. I don't know what you're erasing. Hopefully, nothing too scandalous. So thank you for tuning in, guys. I really appreciate it. So Epidemic, right there off the top, you can pretty much figure, okay, well, he's classy. He's had 2 siblings, be able to compete in graded stakes level competition, one of which racked up $1 million doing it. But the dam, this is what I find really fascinating, because this is such a well-bred horse, especially when we're talking about precociousness. So the dam, Rosie Humor, she's by Distorted Humor. And she was unplaced, but this is really fascinating to me. This horse's grandmother, her mother, Show Me the Roses. She was placed at 2 years old and a daughter of Stormcat, okay? So Stormcat himself, we already know what an influential sire he was, but don't forget, he was also a Grade 1 winner at 2 years old. He won the Young America Stakes. And then he was in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile and just got caught by Tasso. In fact, I have that replay for you. Let's take a look back at the 1985 Breeders' Cup Juvenile featuring Stormcat, who just gets caught by Tasso.
The stretch in the field, turns for home, and it's Stormcat. Stormcat leads by 3/4 of a length. Scat Dancer surging on the outside. Regal Dreamer is racing in third. Mogambo and Tasso full of run on the outside. They're inside the final furlong, and it is Stormcat who leads by 2.5 lengths. Tasso is full of run. They're running out of ground. Stormcat, Tasso, here's the wire, and it is too close to call. It's a photo finish. It can go either way. Was it Tasso? Was it Stormcat? I can't split them. The final time in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, 1:36 and 1. Dickenberg, back to you.
Yeah, It was Tasso. I mean, that's one of those races. You're sitting there, you're watching it, you're going, wire. And unfortunately for Stormcat, that wire did not come up soon enough. But obviously, we know what happened with him in the stud shed. He really left his mark behind. But in addition to Show Me the Roses being a daughter of Stormcat, her three-quarter brother, well, Stormcat wouldn't get that win in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, her three-quarter brother, Johannesburg by Hennessy by Stormcat, would. Check this out. We're going to take a look back at the 2001 Breeders' Cup Juvenile featuring Johannesburg.
Down toward the rail, and now there's room at the inside for Siphonic and Jerry Bailey, and the field turns for home at the top of the stretch. Officer is being tested today by Siphonic, and Siphonic puts ahead in front. Here comes the European champion, Johannesburg. He's charging hard. Repent is coming fast too. It is Johannesburg. Repent and Siphonic. Johannesburg has won it. Undefeated, and now a champion on 2 continents. Johannesburg has won, beating Repent, and finishing third was Siphonic. The final time here was 1:42 and 1/5 seconds. He ran away from the best in Europe, and he runs away from America's best today. Johannesburg, the winner.
Okay, so you heard Durkin right there call it out. I mean, Johannesburg was a freak 2-year-old. He was a champion overseas. He was then champion here. He was he was basically, I mean, if you just look at this record, at 2 years old, he was undefeated. And you know, he was second in his 3-year-old debut, and that was in the Castle Martin La Louvière Studs Gladness Stakes, which is Group 3 at the Curragh. And then after that, they tried him in the Kentucky Derby. It didn't quite work out. And then they took him back overseas, and it didn't quite work out then in the Golden Jubilee. But as a 2-year-old, oh no, nobody was beating this horse. He won his debut. He then won the Norfolk, the Angelously Stakes, the Independent Waterford Wedgwood Phoenix Stakes, the Prix Morny, the Middle Park, and then the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. He was just a sensation. And again, just to make it more clear to you, the way he's related to Epidemic, who's the 4-horse in race 3 at Del Mar this Saturday, is that Epidemic's grandmother is Johannesburg's 3-quarter sister. Okay, you got that? Epidemic's grandma, 3-quarter sister to Johannesburg. Pretty cool there. And it's just a really tremendous female family, because it also includes another high weight 2-year-old. He was high weight in England and high weight in Ireland, and I'm talking about Nardi. His wins include the Group 1 Phoenix. Tail of the Cat's part of this family. His wins include the King's Bishop. You've got Spun Out of Control, Spun Silk, Fedbiz put in new track records, winning the Pat O'Brien Stakes and the San Diego Stakes. I mean, just a really good horse. And another thing that you should take into consideration for just perspective on what a class family this is that this Colt's 4th dam, Epidemic's 4th dam, Yarn by Mr. Prospector, is a full sister to Grade 1 Frizette winner, Preach. And as a broodmare, Preach went on to produce Pulpit on a cover of AP Indian. Why that's pretty interesting also, just, you know, beyond the class of it, is the symmetry, because again, Preach, bred to AP Indy, produces Pulpit. This colt, Epidemic, from that female family, by Orb, who's by Malibu Moon, who's by AP Indy. So you see they're trying to bring in that symmetry of genetics. So I think that's pretty interesting. And of course, going back to Pulpit real quick, he went on at stud to then sire Tappet. So it's just a really, really good family. Again, that's the 4-horse Epidemic for Ryan Hansen, owned by Heart Racing Stables, bred by Ron Stolich and Fran Stolich, and going to be ridden by Edwin Maldonado. So moving on, we got to talk about the Baffert, right? The 5-horse Freedom Fighter. He is a son of Violence out of Canadian Ballet by City Zip. Fun fact about City Zip, beyond him being a very successful sire, and certainly in terms of the Breeders' Cup progeny that he's produced, but he's also a half-brother to Ghost Zapper. So I always love bringing that up when we talk about the late City Zip. So Freedom Fire, owned by SF Racing, Starlight Racing, and all the guys, the Avengers, are part of this group. So you've got Drayden Van Dyke riding. This horse has been firing bullets, as you can see if you're looking at the past performances. Again, a son of Violence. Violence won all 3 of his starts at 2 years old. That included the Grade 2 Nashua, the Grade 1 Cash Call Futurity. The latter was run on synthetic at the time. He ran just one more time, finishing a half-length second to the aforementioned Orb in the Fountain of Youth. But obviously, we saw this horse be able to come out and compete straight out the gate at 2 years old. So this is a 2-year-old race. This is a 5-furlong race. These are things, obviously, then you take in consideration as being incentivizing factors for why you might want to like this horse beyond the Baffert factor. Madame, Canadian Ballet, again, by City Zip. She won first out at 2 years old. It was against state-bred competition, but it was at Saratoga. She didn't really get to blossom, however, until they moved her off the dirt and onto the turf. And that's where she really got to show her speed, winning multiple stakes, sprinting on the grass. So if you're ever going to look at a Baffert horse as maybe being semi-vulnerable, maybe this is a horse that would prefer eventually grass, but the horse has plenty of speed and class is class. So, you know, pass at your own risk, okay? Because again, it is a 5-furlong sprint and you've got speed top and bottom on this horse. So that is Freedom Fighter, trained by Bob Baffert, bred by Mr. and Mrs. Troy Reed in Kentucky, and owned by the Avengers, and going to be ridden by Drayden Van Dyke. Moving on, the 8 horse I want to talk about, Vittorio, owned by Kaleem Shaw, trained by Simon Callahan. Mike Smith is aboard, and I just mentioned to you, City Zip being a half-brother to Ghost Zapper. Well, Vittorio is a son of Ghost Zapper, and he is the most expensive purchase in this field. He cost $750,000. And, you know, the thing about Ghost Zapper that is so exceptional is just the fact that he could have really, I mean, he won the Breeders' Cup Classic, as y'all know, and he holds the record for the Breeders' Cup Classic time, 1:59. But the other thing about him is he could have gone in the sprint if he wanted to. He could have gone in the dirt mile if he wanted to. He's just that tactically fast. And the other thing that's cool about Ghost Zapper himself is a son of another classic champion, and Awesome Again. Awesome Again won the classic in 1998. Ghost Zapper then won at Lone Star in 2004. They were the only father-son duo to take the classic until last year because Curlin sired Vino Rosso. So those are the only fathers to sire Breeders' Cup Classic champions, Awesome Again and Curlin, represented by Ghost Zapper and Vino Rosso. But, you know, again, talking about Ghost Zapper, how can I not now show you the 2004 Breeders' Cup Classic in which he set that record of 1:59? Let's check it out.
Midway around the far turn, Ghost Zapper now tackled and noticed by Roses in May, and they're letting out all stops coming to the top of the stretch. Pleasantly perfect, catapulting packed horses on the far outside as the field turns for home. Ghost Zapper has now shrugged off Roses in May. Pleasantly perfect continues to rally down the center of the track. Azeri doing her best, but she's now 5th. In between horses, perfect drift. Ghost Zapper kicking clear, and Ghost Zapper is pulling away impressively. And a pumped up Javier Castellano, they have soundly defeated Roses in May. Pleasantly Perfect was a well-beaten 3rd. Perfect Drift was 4th. This was a no doubt about it winner. The final time was fantastic. 1 minute 59 seconds flat. There are the disappointed boys from Sackett's Harbor, a disappointed boy from Brooklyn as well, a disappointed guy from Artemis, Kentucky, but not so for Javier Castellano. Ghost Zapper, Bobby Frankel have won the Breeders' Cup Classic with style.
Yeah, he wasn't joking about those disappointed expressions after the race, was he? But dear goodness, what a sensational horse Go Zapper is. And I mean, I just never tire of watching these replays. It's so awesome to watch greatness in action. I'm seeing a comment here. Oh, well, first of all, still smarting for Mo Normal's ride. Okay, so Mo Normal is a horse I profiled last week that ran at Saratoga. I don't want to be an armchair quarterback. Because I mean, unless you're riding the race yourself, it's hard to, always understand why a jockey may have made a move that they did. So I'm not going to blame the ride just because I don't know. Maybe there was a reason. I only saw the race once. I, at the time, was not thrilled that I felt that she was brought back, had to kind of check back. But again, maybe there was a reason that wasn't evidently clear during the running of the race. So hopefully, I mean, this is a horse we can, continue to watch going forward. Of course, it was the other Christophe Clement filly who won that day. So I have another comment here. Honor AP or Cezanne Saturday. Okay, so I actually got to see Cezanne before he ever, started his race career. Before actually, I knew Cezanne's name before Bob knew Cezanne's name. I had been doing my research because I knew I was going to do a shed row walk with Bob at Del Mar and talking about the 2-year-olds in his barn. So I had done my research and I had seen that, he had this horse in his barn that cost, $3,650,000. So I found out the horse's name is Cezanne by, again, doing my research. And I got to the barn and they didn't know the horse had actually been formally named yet. So that's kind of cool. I have a cool story about him from that perspective. He was a gorgeous horse. I mean, he looks like a multi-million-dollar type in the flesh. And obviously we've seen him win his races. That being said, when Honor AP is definitely one of the 3-year-olds, I think that can actually win the Kentucky Derby. I got to go with Honor AP. So sorry, I love you, Cezanne, too. You're beautiful and you have a nice temperament from what I can tell. But I'm going to go there. Hilton Tynes. Midnight Bisou is the best horse in training. I mean, hey, she's fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. My favorite horse in training right now is one that's been my favorite horse in training for a bit, and that's Naval. But Midnight Bisou is like right up there, too. She's amazing. Ears up, right? Okay. So now let's talk more about Vittorio's pedigree. So I just showed you his sire's win in the Breeders' Cup Classic, that being Go Zapper. Vittorio is out of Roberta Turner by Smart Strike, okay? So that's the Mr. Prospector line, again, coming in through Smart Strike. And her multiple stakes-winning graded stakes place sister, Foxy Dancer, is also by a Mr. Prospector line sire in Mr. Greeley, because Mr. Greeley's a son of Gone West. Now, Foxy, she was a winner at 2 years old. She captured the Sharp Cat and the Cascapedia Stakes. She also got grade 3 placings, running second in the Las Flores and third in the Sorrento Stakes. Foxy, again, that's Roberta Turner's sister, the damn sister. Foxy went on to produce another precocious sort with Ever So Clever winning on debut at Churchill Downs. Ever So Clever later took second in the 2016 Pocahontas Stakes and at 3 won the Fantasy. And then this colt's great-grandma in conference is a daughter of the decorated, fleet-footed De Jour. We know what happened to him in, in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. It looked like he was heading to victory, jumped his shadow, and ceded the lead to Safely Kept. But this is pretty cool, too. The 4th dam of Vittorio is grade 1 winner Personal Business. She won the John Morris, which is, it's actually fitting we bring this up because of this weekend. This weekend, obviously, we have the Whitney Stakes, and on the Whitney Stakes card, Whitney, of course, being a win in your in for the Longines Breeders' Cup Classic, but we also have another win in your in there at Saratoga for the Longines Distaff, and that's the Personal Ensign, and the Personal Ensign used to be the John Morris Stakes, okay? And the other cool connection, and even though this is a Breeders' Cup race, I have to show it because it fits. It fits. Personal Ensign, as we know, she went on it in 1988, and she beat Winning Colors in the Breeders' Cup Distaff. But prior to that, earlier in the season, Personal Ensign herself won the Whitney Stakes. It was a very unusual running of the race because there were only 2 other horses in it. But the other horse, who she really knocked heads with in the stretch, It was just Gulch who would go on to win the Breeders' Cup Sprint. So let's go ahead and take a look back at Personal Ensign winning the Whitney Stakes of 1988.
Hey, Gulch gets clear now by 2. And gaining ground on the outside is Personal Ensign with a rush. The filly, Personal Ensign, now moves alongside Gulch. King Swan back into 3rd. It's Gulch on the rail, leading by about a neck. On the outside, Personal Ensign is 2nd. They approach the top of the stretch. 3/4, 11-3. Now it's between Personal Ensign and Gulch for the lead, and they've opened 5 on King Swan back into 3rd. Personal Ensign, the filly, on the outside, gets the lead. Gulch on the rail, remains very close in 2nd. They pass the 8th pole. It's Personal Ensign on the outside, still leading the way by a neck, and Gulch is 2nd. Now the filly gets clear by a length. It's Personal Ensign in front.
Okay, Personal Ensign. I've said this before. If you've watched my show, I will say it again. She is my all-time favorite distaffer. She's everything you'd like a horse to be. I mean, all heart, all guts, and then she went on to be a blue hen mare herself, you know. And when you have from her line, My Flag, Storm Flag Flying, I mean, you don't see that very often for a mare to basically reproduce that type of talent. And I don't know. I always love watching replays of Personal Ensign. She's so special. And again, she went on to win the 1988 Breeders' Cup Distaff. Gulch went on to win the Breeders' Cup Sprint. So that Whitney, as short as that field was with only 3 horses, it ended up being pretty potent, wouldn't you say? So that is basically a little pedigree overview of some of the entrants running this Saturday at Del Mar in race 3. I couldn't go over the entire field. Again, we'd be here, you know, much too long, but it's a 10-horse field. It looks pretty salty to me. You don't have to just play the Baffert, I don't think, because some of the, you know, these horses are very well bred and on par with each other. If I don't know what the morning line is yet, but I think I might look most to the Hansen horse and Epidemic coming from the female family of Johannesburg to maybe put in the upset bid, okay? So again, don't forget, this weekend we have Win and You're In action, not only at Saratoga with the Personal Ensign being a Win and You're In for the Longines Distaff and the Whitney Stakes being a Win and You're In for the Longines Classic, but also at Del Mar, you have a Win and You're In for the Sprint, and that is the Bing Crosby Stakes. So you'll want to check out all the action this weekend. And until next week, oh, actually, you know what? No, you can check me out sooner because I will be co-hosting again BC Live with my friend Dan Torgman. You can check that out on the social media platforms of Breeders' Cup and America's Best Racing. We're going to have a ton of fun. We're going to have a lot of special guests, so you will not want to miss it. Anyway, let me make sure there's, oh, somebody asked one more question. Why is there nothing in your home? There's actually a lot of stuff in my home. But the thing is, I am in the basement, so it's a walkout. So that's why there's not a ton of stuff here. But you see there's a TV, and you see there's a Breeders' Cup saddle blanket. We're actually probably going to be moving this desk off into the actual office, but I have to get some shelving up in there first. So that's why things look kind of bare right now. Sorry about that. So again, check it out this weekend. Tons of Win You're In action. You can check it out on NBC, on TVG. You know, also got the Fox broadcast. You also have the online streaming capabilities of watching Dan Torgman and myself for BC Live on the Breeders' Cup and America's Best Racing social media platforms. So there's no excuse to miss a moment of the action, okay? I will see you Saturday, and then after that, as far as the Future Stars forecast goes, I'll see you back here next week. All right, until then, take care.